At the same time, the Gauteng Education MEC, Panyaza Lesufi, as you saw there earlier in the day, meeting with the school governing bodies and, of course, the broader community there. They've decided, among other things, to suspend in-contact class. This is until Thursday. We're joined now by reporter Tshegohaco Moagi, who joins me in studio. Tshegohaco, it's been such a long and difficult day, I imagine, for the learners at the school, because they are really the ones that are caught up in the middle of this fighting that is taking place. Firstly, let's begin with what we know to have led to the conflict.
Well, Kathy, so when we were speaking to some of the parents outside the school premises, they said that this actually started with a fight on Friday. This is how we now came to the situation today. The fight broke out on Friday amongst two children. The head boy, or the deputy head boy, he's in grade 12, and he apparently hit a grade 8 black learner. And that's where the fight then started. And it seems as though the learners, the black children, then decided that they are not going to stand with this. And from the conversations as well that we had with them, they corroborated exactly that, saying to us that this argument actually started on Friday. And the issue being, they're saying that, you know, there's a lot of racial issues within the school, that they are treated unfairly, not just by their peers, but also by the teachers. So that was how we landed up in this situation, leading us to the situation today, that we saw parents coming together to the school to, what they say, stand against what has been happening there.
What were some of the examples that they gave that pointed or highlighted this unfair treatment that they say exists at the school?
So we heard from the learners telling us that even the teachers, they in the classrooms, they will bring up racial slurs against them. Those are just one of the issues. We also heard that this particular deputy head boy, apparently it's not the first time that he has actually attacked a black child at the school. The black children telling us that, you know, it has been difficult for them. They're even scared to even be at the school. They are told that the school does not belong to them, that they shouldn't be there. And so they're even scared to be on the premises of the school at times. And so the MEC is saying that he's definitely going to look into the issues of what teachers are saying to these young children, especially as they're supposed to be learning and teaching. And now it seems as though other things are coming up in the classrooms. We heard that some of the learners are being called hooligans, they're being called animals. The one learner that was speaking to the MEC saying that, you know, they are called hooligans almost on a daily basis. And he even said, well, if they want to see what hooligans are, then we can behave like hooligans. But they don't retaliate because they are too scared to retaliate.
I want to bring into this conversation psychologist Calynn Walker. Calynn, when one just hears, I mean, anecdotally, the stories that have been shared from the learners to the MEC and to reporters that were there today, one certainly gets a sense of a deep amount of trauma that would have taken place at the school. Emotions are very high right now. As a psychologist intervening or giving advice to the situation, what would be your your first point of call?
Thank you for having me this evening, Kathy. You know, listening to the stories from these children and throughout the day of parents of what's been going on at the school, you can definitely hear that there is a lot of trauma and a lot of emotions that have been triggered. And I think that my first point of call as a mental health care professional in this situation will be to try and do some sort of conflict management and conflict resolution with all those involved, which can be quite a painful and complex process.
Many of the learners and the parents express a view that says they've been quiet for too long, and this seems to be the moment where they're finally fully able to express what has been taking place behind closed doors. And when people are speaking out in the manner that they are, it's very difficult to then tell them, okay, we've heard you, let's all calm down and resolve the issue. How do you propose that, you know, the school and the authorities can go about doing that, so that at the end of the day, nobody feels that their views, their feelings were shut out of the process?
I think what you're referring to is transparency and accountability, right? So the first half of conflict resolution is to have empathy and open dialogue with the opposite side of this issue. But that is not always enough, because, what happens once you have expressed your feelings or shared your concerns or voiced the trauma that you are experiencing? That's only half the picture. The other half of the picture, when we try and resolve conflict, is to have a sense of accountability, which we know is the ability to take ownership for one's actions, but then also the ability to repair those things, right? So constructive and conscious actions designed to repair the damage that was done. Simply hearing it is really only half the story. We need to follow that through with other things as well.
Tshegohaco, let me wrap it up with you then here. Ultimately, when you look at part of what is being expressed, one does get a sense that for the learners and for some of the parents, there's an expectation that perhaps at the end of the week there needs to be a declaration of basically winners and losers, who was right and who was wrong. Do you think that that's where this process is ultimately going to lead us to? Is that what the department is trying to do right now?
I really just think they're trying to settle the situation, try to keep calm what has taken place today. And I think that is the stance of the MEC. He said in a statement now that classes will not resume until Thursday. The parents' meeting will only take place on Thursday, which means that it seems that they just want to resolve it. Even the parents that we spoke to, Kathy, they were saying that there's no right or wrong. There's one specific parent that we spoke to, and he said there's no right or wrong. There's no child that is right or no child that is wrong at this stage. The issue is that working together, they need to move forward from this situation. The MEC also calling in, like the South African Human Rights Commission, to look into these allegations of racism and discrimination at the school. But the big thing that we can clearly tell that he's just trying to bring some form of calmness back to the school community, and some form of learning once again to take place, and for learners not to feel so unsafe and so uncomfortable in a place that they spend a lot of hours in.
It's a situation that requires strong leadership and definitive leadership in terms of the way forward. Tshegohaco Moagi will continue to keep an eye on that story. And Calynn Walker, you heard from there, is a psychologist weighing in on how the school can begin to take corrective steps on this issue.